So just landing here in the Zoom room and feeling your body, sensing your body, and knowing, we are together here as a group. We are 29 people right now. And we all know, that we are witnessing something we have never witnessed before. We don't have a lot of language for that in this culture, of heroic ascension and domination. We don't know even how to easily, speak about these things, but we're gonna try anyway. We're gonna make ourselves available to be touched, because we know it's much better to just turn towards it than trying to pretend it's somebody else's fault or anything of that nature. So it's like a sacred emergence, I think. That's the best word which can hold the hugeness of it. And all of those feelings which are evoked. I'm following, the news to a certain extent about my home country, Austria, and here and there's a lot of similarities on the political level. And more people, are really feeling pulled towards wanting to turn away from what's happening, like on the globe, the earth, what the earth is doing with us, or what we are doing with the earth. And just trying to have some kind of a strong man sorting it all out for us, or something of that crazy nature. So these meetings here, at the Earthworm Collective is all about how can we meet these times of great transformation, this evolutionary threshold. How can we meet it? How can we open ourselves to it? A sign of true adulthood is to be able to hold both grief and gratitude at the same time, and to be stretched larger by these two qualities. On the one hand, the grief for what is dying and what has not been understood for so long, but is starting to dawn on us. And on the other hand, the gratitude for having a teaching and having the capacity to tune in and stay with the process. Because if we hold only one, we're gonna get into trouble. Only grief, makes us really bitter and depressed and shut down. And only gratitude, we lack the depths of compassion and understanding about what's going on. So looking at what's happening in the world for all of us collectively, we can see that we are in a period of descent. We are heading down into the darkness, my friends. And many, many people start to understand that. We are heading down. Yeah. And, many of us, I think, who come here know it, sense it, feel it. That we have left, the world which is familiar, which has been familiar to us. We have left that territory, and we are now in a territory we don't know even how to talk about it quite fully as a culture. And then on the other hand, that really knowing that some things can only happen in the darkness. Especially, these times of endings, decay, shedding, letting go of that which is no longer working. That happens in the darkness, in the winter, when the trees shed the leaves and then they rot into the ground and become nourishment for the tree. And we are in such a phase now, as a global community. And one way how to meet is to choose to see this descent and darkness in a different way. To reimagine it intentionally, collectively and intentionally, and trying to tune into the richness of the darkness, the soil. If you've ever seen some really dark, black, healthy soil, that's amazing. And that's what's happening on this more ultimate level. So reimagining the darkness as the mystery it is. Because, all life forms on Earth are here because of what happens in the darkness of the soil, including us, eating the plant life or eating other, eating animal products, and the animals eat the plant life. So without the soil, there would be no plant life. There's amazing collaborations going on in the depths of the darkness. And the darkness is necessary for that growth. We need the darkness. So if we can, reimagine what's happening in that context, there is a sense of, yes, coming from the depths of the being, making space, opening to it. Even it's still scary, it's still very sad, and there's still a lot of grief, but there is more spaciousness to know what's happening rather than to completely getting drowned and lost into it. And that's, the only freedom we have got, because we are not in control. Even, our culture tries to pretend it is in control, but now more and more of us are waking up. It's not going to continue that way. This domination, control culture is not it's gonna be taken down by the earth, simply. And it's already happening. And the alchemists have called this the nigredo, or the blackness. And in analytical psychology, this term became a metaphor for the dark night of the soul, when an individual confronts the shadow within. And we are also confronting a collective shadow. The collective shadow of extractive capitalist consumer culture. And it's kind of awesome, actually, with how much precision, this thing we call universe, or it's not a thing anyway, but planet Earth, including all of us, how that has this living intelligence which is guiding the process in its very wild, very deep ways. And we are part of it. And whatever stands out is casting a shadow. It's impossible to emerge in any kind of a form or shape without casting a shadow. This is part and parcel of embodiment, there's always some kind of a shadow there. And that's the learning opportunity also. So that's where we are right now, collectively, and it's gonna last for quite some time, for generations probably. So that we have the support, to rethink, to reimagine what living culture can look like. Because there's quite a few things, which need to end. Patriarchy in its current form needs to end. Capitalism needs to end. Racism needs to end. Because they are not life-serving. And that's what's happening. The living intelligence of the earth is taking us down into the darkness. And this is not a time of confidence and certainty, because we are heading down in the direction of transformation. And this is just the way how this process we call Earth has always been working over a very long time frame. And this is really good to remember that. And we are coming through a very long lineage of ancestors. And for some reason they have always found a way, because otherwise we wouldn't be here today. This is a sacred invitation or initiation. And we do have what we need for this collective journey. We don't have, what advertisements are telling us we need to have in order to be happy, but we have this deep capacity for knowing. And we have these very sophisticated human bodies, these amazing biocomputers, which are like antennas to listen to and to connect to planet Earth and the guidance of this living, intelligent, vast being we are a part of. We can tune into that. We can attune to it, and that's what we try to do here at these meetings, and to do it together, because to do it alone isn't really very easy. We can do it alone as well, but we need to have the support and to connect and to really take in we are not alone in this. And we are not the only pocket of sanity doing this work. There's many, many out there. And we're just gonna get drawn to some, and that's good enough, So I'd like to guide us again in a meditation. Finding a posture we can sustain for about 40 minutes or so. And allowing the breath to take you into the body. And feeling the intelligence of our bodies as emergent expressions of the planet herself, made of exactly the same elements as the biosphere. Vibrating with aliveness. And sensing also what you are bringing, maybe fatigue, maybe confusion, anxiety, whatever it is, just noticing. And then also sensing the gentle pull of gravity, which shows us so clearly, where the work lies. It's going to be here. And, the connection between the word here and hearing. Hearing. We can only hear what the earth has to tell us if we are fully here in these bodies. Maybe, prolonging the out breath just a little bit and dropping all stress and doubt and whatever is there, letting that just drop down into the ground underneath where we are sitting. And with the out breath also like gently sending down some roots into the soil from which we have actually emerged through all of the nourishment we have been taking in over our lifetime. Just having this visual image to help us see that truth more fully. No pressure, just gently imagining roots coming down into the soil. And then, breathing up the vastness, the stillness, the stability of the earth. And just resting into the holding of the earth. We are part of, and we can choose to attune into that data flow. We have all the data we need. Just need to work on the capacity to attune, to metabolize. That's what we are doing. So really, opening to this descent. Because we know it's part and parcel of life. Is there are seasons for everything. And this is a season of descent. And this earth, this soil, has been made of many different life forms which have lived and then passed away and got composted and transformed into nourishment for what comes next. And this is exactly what's happening with our capitalist culture. It's falling apart because it cannot be sustained, because it's not life affirming. It's crazy, deadening, and out of sync with the laws of nature. And it's an expression of an immature culture, an immature species. And now we have what it takes to mature. We've brought it upon us because we are part of this living, intelligent earth, and it knows what to do. It has always known what to do since such a long time, 4.6 billion years. It's awesome. So with the in-breath, breathing up that awesome presence of the earth as a living, intelligent being, and becoming more conscious that we are participants of that process. This is the shifting consciousness we need to consciously embed and integrate for the next step. And the earth knows how to support that. It doesn't look pretty on an individual level, as a human being who needs housing and clothing and everything. It's devastating on that level. But in the sense of deep time, this is how the wildness of the biosphere operates. So really allowing that to sink in and noticing, how the body meets that information. Because I sense, that it makes space for it because it knows it's true. And we might sense, the contraction, and it takes time, to familiarize ourselves with that. But it does have the capacity to integrate it if we stay with it. And if we have, the support of community and also, the support of a wisdom teaching, which helps us to deal with our minds and hearts inside of that process of stretching and maturing and all of the challenges which comes from that. So like breathing into the holding of the body and gently massaging it in what needs to be integrated. Knowing that these bodies are part of a living intelligent earth, and through surrendering to the process, it takes care of itself in a mysterious way. And we don't have much language for it because we have been focusing on other things which are now receding into the background because they are not up to the job. And it's a natural process. So paying attention to what's happening in the body and noticing it's happening. We don't have to do anything about it. It's more we just opening to it, allowing it, and trusting it. Which means, even at moments of great challenge, there's a lot of fear and anxiety and so on, still responding in that way. That means trusting. It doesn't mean that there's no fear or doubt, but still allowing it and making space for the fear and the doubt also. That's this, growing larger, maturing, allowing more life to land in us. For the benefit of ourselves and for those who come after us. Preparing the ground. We are making ourselves available to whatever the earth needs from us. And witnessing, the process of alchemy happening in the darkness of the body. And knowing that we have the tools, we have what we need to stay conscious. The number one ingredient is community. That's why it's one of the 3 refuges. Refuge in Sangha. And we have many other medicines, and I want to speak about those in the coming sessions. We are not helpless. And there are some, fearmongers out there who want us to buy into believing that we are hope and helpless now with what's happening soon on the political arena here in this country, but we are not. We are aligning ourselves with a much, much bigger force, the force of the living earth, who always knows what to do. And from that grounding, we can act and we can do things. And sometimes we cannot do anything, and then we can be with that as well. And there's lots of good people out there, lots of good resources to participate. And if we really, nourish this intention to be part of the process, to ask, the living earth how we can help this, how we can support, what she needs from us, making that a practice. And it will come to us. Asking the earth to show us how we can participate fully in the highest possibility for life and love on this planet, in our small ways or not so small ways. It doesn't really matter. Breathing up through the trunk of the torso, the trunk of the body, like a tree trunk. Breathing up the stability, the data flow, the information of the living earth. Breathing through the organs, of the trunk, through the neck, behind our eyes, all the way up through the crown of the head. And then imagining that with the inhalation you are opening up like a skylight at the top of your head, at the crown of the head. And then sending out roots with the exhalation, sending out roots into the space beyond us, to the sky. Like branches that reach up into another root system, all the way into space, the unmanifest, the timeless, a fullness of potential. So rooted in the planet, through our bodies, and opening up to the cosmos. Drawing on the power of the stars. By extending our branches out into the cosmos. Deeply rooted in the earth and open to learn what comes next. Just as the sun, is communicating with the earth and bringing forth all of this life on this planet. The sun is just one star. Without the sun, there wouldn't be any life. So on the in-breath, we feel the root system in the earth, our grounding in the manifest, and with the out-breath, the vastness of the cosmos beyond. And we are in the middle of it. We are a bridge between those two dimensions. And we have a role to play in the evolution of this planet. And we are waking up to it more and more. It's really happening. And the heart is the nexus point for all of this information which we quite can't put into words to meet. And the heart can be the place, where it all comes together. And if you like, you can put your hand on your heart area. The bridge between those two dimensions, the deep intelligence of the heart, or the chitta, how it is called in the Buddha's dispensation, the heart mind, which knows and receives the calling. And like sensing into that we can trust that. We can trust that calling. Coming, from the depths of the living intelligence of the earth and the heart can receive that calling. And it manifests as our purpose, our aspiration, inspiration. Even if the heart is broken in some way, it makes the heart bigger. And maybe you can sense, do whatever it is, there is a yes there. Because the heart knows what is true. That this descent is the way to go. And we haven't been doing anything wrong. This is just how maturation looks like at this point. It's not like a necessarily pretty process. It's wild, it's juicy, it's alive. And our contribution is the willingness to sense that. That's inner activism, the willingness to sense that and experience our complete and utter rootedness in the web of life. And then from that our outer activism will emerge. Times are urgent, we need to slow down and first do the rooting. Because otherwise the outer activism is just going to be the repetition of the same thing. There needs to be a deep rooting and attunement to what's needed. What does the earth need from me right now? So this aspiration of the heart is trustworthy. The urge to evolve. To open to the teaching, which life is showing us at this time of descent. So breathing into the heart, and feeling that connection to this innermost knowing, and knowing that many others here in our meeting, we are at the moment like 30 plus people, all we are doing this all together. Like as a network of hearts, pulsing together. And opening together to what we need to know. To support that process of transformation. Opening to that flow, that data flow. And noticing that we are much vaster than we think. So sensing into that vastness. And that we have what we need. If we tune into that flow. And that which knows about that flow. Awareness. It's all happening in awareness. And as we are slowly coming to the end of the session, I'd like to share with you a short text by Rainer Maria Rilke, who is an Austrian writer who lived in Prague in the 18th century. 19th century. And he writes here a letter to his protege, a 19-year-old budding poet. And he writes the following: I want to beg you, as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to leave everything. Leave the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Walking with the question and in this way becoming the answer. That's what we are doing. Or rather, that's what we are allowing to happen by attuning and cooperating. And reimagining what darkness is. Reimagining what darkness looks like. Seeing the richness of the darkness.